Okay, so about an hour ago, I watched, round 5 of the Monster Energy Supercross series at Oakland. And I gotta say, that was quite an eventful race. So welcome back, guys. Like I said, I literally just watched the race. I'm going to record this on Saturday night because, tomorrow's my birthday and I don't really feel like doing this tomorrow. So I'm doing this right now and I'm going to stay up and finish it. Anyways, I just got done and I want to say that was quite the race. I think the theme for this video is going to be the whoops. That's all I could focus on. It seems like I focus on that a lot in these videos, is who's good in the whoops and who's not. And tonight, that seemed like the game changer. If you were good in the whoops, then you were going to do good. And if you weren't, then maybe not so much. So to start with the 250s, I think tonight was really the race that somebody could have really stamped their place as the fastest guy. With having 4 people within, 10 points, one person could have really taken over this championship and shown that they are the fastest guy since it's almost started from zero. That didn't really happen. I'm going to talk about just a few people that I think deserve some recognition, and then I'll talk about the big 3 who got the top 3 tonight. So I want to say first that it was really a bummer seeing Mosiman crash. I think he's okay. It seemed like maybe it was a bike issue that he didn't keep going, or maybe he did kind of get hurt. That was a bummer to see, especially after him doing so well in the heat. It took out a few guys with him. It took out Jay Wilson and Hayes and one other guy, I want to say. That was a big bummer to see. Hayes being in it too. He did really good last week. Great job to Luke Clout, the Australian. Him and Oldenburg were flying in their heat, and then he finished the main really good. What did he end up getting? He ended up getting 5th, and that's his best result of the season, I want to say. I don't think he's done better than that. And then Alex Martin, I think, really stepped it up too with that 4th place finish. I think that was really good, and he was even leading for a little bit. Shout out to those guys. I think they did awesome. But what I really want to talk about is the big 3. And really, I don't even want to talk about Justin Cooper that much. He got a good start, but then got shuffled back and had to make his way back into 3rd, which he did. Supposedly he was sick, so that was a good rebound for him, I would say, from last week, especially with being sick. He's still plenty in this championship. He did lose the points lead. I mean, he's only 2 points back. That all 3 of these guys are still in it. But really, I want to talk about Forkner and Ferrandis and their differences in pretty much the whoops. When I was watching this race, Forkner looked really good to me. I'm sure everybody noticed this, but throughout the race, Forkner was losing a lot of time in the whoops. I say this every time. Everybody knows this, that the weak spot for Forkner is the whoops. Pretty consistently, he would lose almost up to a half a second in the whoops to Ferrandis. And then throughout the rest of the lap, leading up back to the whoops, he would gain about a half a second or maybe even a little bit more. So it seemed like the first half of the moto, maybe a little less, it was kind of this accordion effect with Forkner just getting a little bit farther ahead, until finally Ferrandis had a good enough lap where he could really get on Forkner going into the whoops. So he was able to keep up with Forkner throughout the rest of the lap and catch him through the whoops and then make an aggressive pass on him, which was 100% fine. I gave Ferrandis a lot of flack for his pass on Craig, and I still think it was uncalled for, but this pass was completely fine. This track seemed very one-lined and very hard to pass on, and throughout the night it seemed like that's how you had to pass everybody. You couldn't really make very many clean passes. You always had to kind of run it in there a little hard to actually be able to pass somebody. That's what he did. He made a little bit of contact, but it's fine. So I'm good with that. And then right after that, Forkner, it was the same kind of deal. That Forkner was catching him a little bit, then he would lose time in the whoops, until eventually Forkner just couldn't quite hang. But all of this came down to Forkner jumping through the whoops. Obviously, he must not be very comfortable in the whoops. He's crashed in them so many times the past 2 years and crashed really hard. Was that 2 weeks ago? I'll give him a pass for jumping through the whoops, but really, he needed to try at least once in the main to stay on top of him. If he would have skim the whoops like Ferrandis was doing, even if it was just a little bit slower than Ferrandis was doing, it would have been the difference between him winning and getting second, because he was much faster everywhere else on the track than Ferrandis. It all just came down to the whoops. Maybe if he would have tried them, he would have learned that he felt okay in them, because to me, these whoops didn't seem as bad as normal. They didn't seem too big. They did get kind of chewed up with some ruts in them and weird edges and stuff, but for somebody like Forkner, he should have been able to handle it. He's one of the fastest 250 riders in the world, coming from somebody that has done whoops once in his life and crashed in them. I don't have very solid ground to stand on when it comes to this topic, but I do think that he could have at least tried it. With that said, it was kind of a boring race, and I think it comes down to it was just really hard to pass on. Forkner could have easily won this race, but he didn't. So Ferrandis was doing the whoops faster than Forkner, and that's why he won tonight. Justin Cooper just didn't get the best of starts, was a little bit under the weather, and it kind of ended in a boring 250 race. So I don't have much else to say about that. Yeah, the 450s, though, that was quite the race. It was a bummer to not see Reed on the line. Sounds like he broke a rib last weekend in one of the start crashes, so it's a bummer to not have him on the line, but, I mean, he's got a broken rib. What else can I say? Okay, first off, Roczen is like the new Michael Essie this year. He seems to have his starts dialed. And it was cool because he got a good start and a bunch of other really fast dudes got a good start too. So there was battling from the beginning to the end of this moto. It was him, and then AC and Tomac were up front. Webb got a good start. Osborne got a good start. Hill got a good start. Barcia and Anderson didn't, and that was a bit of a bummer. I just want to say that it was crazy. Not very many tracks have, let alone one section, but two that 450s can do that 250s can't, and those two sections were gnarly. So the section, it was after the whoops and triple, and then you turned left, and there was that next section that was kind of turning. The 250 guys had to go double and then triple on to that step on, which looked really gnarly. Well, the 450 guys were tripling out of the corner, which looked huge, but then it made the step on so much easier and so much faster for them. That was crazy. And then before the finish too, Baggett was doing that triple in the heat, and then it seemed like all the fast guys picked up on it, and then they were all going triple before the finish, and that was huge. I just wanted to say that real quick. So we've seen Tomac do this before. A lot of times he starts the motos and you're just like, oh, it's one of his nights. He can't keep up. It's an off night. He doesn't have it. So you don't even really pay attention to him. And then all of a sudden, about halfway through, seems like some switch flips in his head, and then he just goes on a rampage and is unstoppable and is going so insanely fast. And he becomes the Tomac that we all know and love. I'm a big Tomac hater, but I gotta say, when he rides like this, it is very enjoyable to watch, and I wish he rode like this more often. Webb was kind of the same too. In the beginning of the moto, he was keeping up, and then it kind of seemed like he just didn't quite have it. But if you really look, he was kind of there the whole time. He just wasn't making up any ground and losing a little bit every now and then. And then it seemed like a switch flipped in his head too, and then he started going for it, but much later in the moto. I really like it when riders are really feeling it on the night and are going really fast. It reminds me a lot of Carmichael and Stewart and the battles they used to have. And I like it when Supercross is like this. It makes it so much more enjoyable to me. And Cincerillo, he, for having a bruised tailbone, looked great. He looked very fast up until the end, and then I think that rookie, not mistakes, but kind of mistakes started to get towards him. Seemed like he started to lose focus, and then he said that he started to get arm pump, and that could have been him losing focus. When Webb passed him, he just looked like he wasn't in it mentally at all to me. I mean, yeah, rookie. I can't blame him for that at all. I get to the end of the moto and I can't do anything. I can't really say much about it. I think it's fine. He still did really good on the night. Fourth place, it's plenty good. Anderson and Barcia, not good starts. They made through the pack decently well. Hill looked awesome at the beginning, and then I don't even know what happened to him. I actually don't even know what place he got. Oh, he ended up getting 8th. What happened to Hill? Oh, and I didn't even pay attention to Wilson at all. He kind of stepped it up this week. I think he said he wanted to take it easy in the beginning of the rounds, obviously coming off injury, and making his way up to 7th. That's awesome. Good way to go, dude. Baggett, really bad start, and he looked so good in the heat. I was really excited to watch him actually be able to do something in the main, but he ended up getting 9th, so not much. And Osborne was up in the front in the beginning of the moto, and then it looks like he got 11th, so not a good night for him either. But back to the whoops. If Cooper Webb is going through the whoops fast, then honestly everybody should be, unless he did some drastic bike change. I heard during practice today that Webb likes to have a softer setup so that he can go through the corners faster, and I wonder if he kind of switched that up this week maybe, because he obviously was going much better through the whoops. And so, hey, Forkner, if Webb can go through the whoops and not jump through them, then you should be able to also. Just throwing that in there. Just back to Tomac real quick too. His little mistake that cost him the lead. It was interesting to notice that he said he was wheeling over that little bump and then just missed his rear brake. I'm guessing he got a little bit too much traction, wheelied a little bit too much, missed his brake, and missed the corner. After that, it was smart, and he actually quit wheeling over the bump. I'm sure a lot of you noticed that, but I thought that was pretty cool to see that he learned from that mistake. And then went on to pass everybody back and just have an unreal night like he sometimes does, and he probably should all the time. He should always have nights like tonight. And then Ken. So he looked good, but back to the whoops, he started jumping through them, I noticed, every once in a while at the end, and that's what really made Webb catch him. And then the last lap, he made a mistake and kind of was jumping through him again, and then Webb really caught him. And then last lap corner, I can't believe people on Instagram are comparing this to Ferrandis' takeout on Craig. They're saying that Webb did exactly what Ferrandis did, and that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Roczen left the inside wide open like Craig did, but this was a last corner pass for second place, which Webb did this twice to Roczen last year. Webb barely really even hit him, and then got into second. Roczen should have, when he overjumped into the corner, he should have just grabbed one of those ruts and went for it, because for Webb to pass him then, he would have had to completely T-bone him and take him out. So hindsight's 20/20, but that's what Roczen should have done. He shouldn't have tried to square up to the inside when he jumped too far and gave up the inside. He should have just known, hey, I don't have the inside. Let me get into a rut and just do this corner as fast as possible. Webb's going to have to clean me out to pass me. I know that's like a split-second decision, and like I said, hindsight's 20/20. He didn't do that, but he probably should have. No fault, I think, there. Third place is still fine. As long as he's not hurt, which, if he is hurt, I'm blaming his boots if it's not his knee. If it's something with his foot, I'm blaming the Fox boots. I'm very particular when it comes to my boots. I used to wear Garnets, couldn't feel anything. So then I switched to Tech 10s. And then Alpine Star came out with their new Tech 10s, and they're way too stiff for me. So I only run last generation's Tech 10s. And I thought about maybe trying Fox boots, and then I went and I grabbed them in the store, and I folded them completely in half with my hands. Fox boots have zero protection. I'm saying it now. I don't think they're good boots. Yeah, you might be able to feel everything on the bike because they feel like shoes, but you're pretty much wearing shoes. I am blaming the boots if there's something wrong with his foot, because getting hit that softly and hurting your foot or your leg is ridiculous. Now, if it's his knee, you could throw everything I said out the window, because he probably planted his foot after Webb hit him and it probably tweaked it or something like that. I don't know. Hopefully he's not hurt. If he is, that is such terrible news for the championship. God, I can't even say if he's hurt how bad that would suck. But the two dudes of the night were definitely Webb and Tomac. Webb made such a hard charge at the end of the moto. That was so much fun to watch. Tomac was his old self again and was so much fun to watch. He's just so gnarly when he gets in that mode. Like I said, the theme for this week was the whoops. Forkner would have won if he would have just decided to skim the whoops. Unless he would have crashed, which then he wouldn't have won. So maybe it was good that he jumped through him. And then I think Ken could have gotten second if he would have not made the mistakes in the whoops that he did. That caused him to jump through them. Whoops. That was all the issues that came from the Oakland Supercross for people, it seemed like. But yeah, that's all I have to say about this week. So I want to hear your comments as well on what you thought, what you saw, because I didn't talk about much this week. I talked about just a few things. So if there's something that you saw that you want to say, leave it in the comments. I want to read it. Like I said, tomorrow's my birthday, and today somebody, who is this guy? NSH Voices said, happy early birthday to me. He subscribed to me today. It sounds like he has the same birthday as well. So happy birthday to whoever you are. And it was pretty cool because he or she, I don't know who it is. They were my 500th subscriber. So that was a pretty cool birthday present. A little early birthday present. A cooler birthday present would be 1,000 subscribers. So 500 of you watching, go ahead and click that subscribe button. That would be real cool. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the Oakland Supercross. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And I hope to see you guys in my next videos. It's still freezing here in Colorado. I don't have a bike to ride. So it's just going to be videos like this for just a little bit longer until I get a bike and it warms up. So stay tuned. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great week. And I'll see you next week. Bye.